We are back. Welcome to 40 Day Wealth. My name is Evan Turk, if you don't know that by now. And today's show is going to be very interesting, as always, but a little different. Today we have Nizar Delbani. Nizar is a client of mine, a friend of mine as well. And he is in the renewable energy space. If you want to share your company and your vision, the mic is yours.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me, Evan. It's always great to sit down and talk to you and just give you a little bit more insight on what we're doing. So thank you for the invite. And I'm very passionate about the renewable energy industry. It's been something that I've been doing for 10 years now, approximately. I have different verticals that we've built in regards to what we're trying to do. And mainly that's in trying to promote and enhance the energy infrastructure in the United States right now. We do have different things that we're doing globally as well, but we're trying to focus right now on doing things here with solar, hydrogen, battery storage, a lot of different elements there. But I really love the impact that really does for me as a person, and feeling that this is going to be something, long term, leaving something for the future that I can be proud of. So.
And that's great. What better guest on my show? Because the show that we have here at 40 Day Wealth is about entrepreneurship and about leaving your mark. What is your legacy? So let's dive into what you do as an entrepreneur every day. How did you get into this space, first of all? Because it's a great space. Everyone talks about this space, but very little know about it. So I guess my first question is, how did you get into it? And what are the tax benefits that your clients and everyone should expect in this space?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And, the origins of how this all came to be is something that is very dear and near to my heart. Specifically being that I have to attribute my success and everything that has really happened for me to the efforts and attention that my father and the rest of my family really put into me and guiding me and helping me to achieve the things that I've achieved. And so, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather started this back in the 40s after World War II. And I've, talked about this on a few different podcasts and, done some X threads that you can take a look on there and see what we talk about. But basically, he started this, and my father, after him, started his businesses, mainly within the electrical field. Energy efficiency kind of goes into that. But when I was very young, I think I was about 12 years old, my father was really trying to instill in us from a young age to be entrepreneurs, to grow in this space, to take charge of what we're trying to do with our lives. He didn't really tell me, I want you to do this and I want you to do that, or you have to go to college, and he didn't really tell me any of that. But he gave me the blueprint. He gave me the guideline, and I watched him as he was doing that with his businesses. So as a very young entrepreneur, I was in China actually, and I saw how they were doing things there, and the increase in build for renewable energy, specifically solar. And that's really where I got into that. Started doing a lot of import-export distribution, focused on trying to see how this can fit into the energy grid on the United States, because I saw that this was the future. So that was really how I started with this.
So what projects are you working on right now?
One of the most important at this point in time is Doomsday Partners. So Doomsday Partners is a firm that invests in different types of infrastructure for solar farm and energy generation. So we do a lot of different things, but the one that I love the most is what we do with our agricultural and energy projects, and we call that agrivoltaics. And agrivoltaics is the combination of agriculture and solar. And so we have these beautiful farms that we work with farmers, and we tell them, hey, you have a massive field, we'd like to put solar panels on top of it and have this symbiotic relationship where we can help with the improvement of your crop yield by adding solar panels onto that. And a lot of people don't know this, and so that really helps.
And you are able to harvest the energy and then sell the energy or use it as a tax credit. So
That's right. So
now here is my guilty plug. We work with Julio Gonzalez, who's a great friend of mine, and he is in the alternative tax space. We call him the most interesting man in tax.
I love that.
And one of the things that we're working on right now is how our clients who are looking to offset their tax liabilities can actually purchase. There's a market for it, for tax credits.
That's right.
And we're going to be working closely, hopefully, with Julio Gonzalez so that we can facilitate this to our clients, these tax credits.
Yeah.
It's extremely important, but nobody knows about it. So if you could summarize it maybe in like 2 or 3 minutes, because I'm sure you could talk about it for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
But how does it work? Like how does a client who has a big tax liability buy a tax credit? And how do they transfer? And what is the market for it?
Yeah. So really quickly, the United States has, built a market for these tax credits that are really there to incentivize people to invest into the renewable energy field. And so the way that it works for us, at least, right, as developers, as project sponsors, and people who are building these facilities, we are going and investing tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into these energy generation facilities. And so by doing that, the government is saying that now, actually, in 2023 onwards, we are getting up to 70% tax credits on every dollar that we invest. So if we invest $10 million into a project, we're getting a $7 million tax credit. Right. And so we take this tax credit and we go to people who have a tax liability. And let's say, it's a financial institution or it's a entity or a person basically that has a passive liability that they need to pay off now on a tax side of things. So they have a $7 million tax liability. They buy our tax credit from us and it's transferable. And so that they buy it at 90 cents on the dollar, sometimes 85 cents on the dollar, depends on the supply and demand situation. So they buy our $7 million tax credit, they pay us $6 million, for example, and now they just saved $1 million in their taxes, which is phenomenal for them because otherwise they would have had to pay $7 million. So that's how that works.
And what's great about it is it's not a tax scheme. I have, as an attorney, we deal with this all the time. It's these products, these strategies that there's these books or these memos on.
Yeah.
And, everyone has a plan. Mike Tyson said it best. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And then it goes all awry.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what I love about this is it's black letter law.
That's right. It's regulated.
It's regulated. It's literally right there in the tax code.
Correct. It's not some ambiguous scheme, like you said. It's there. It's been there for years.
Yeah.
There have been audits. They've been, all of this has been thoroughly structured. And so it's not like one day you're going to find out that, this is not valid.
Yeah, and it's not one legal opinion letter or some lawyer that's touting some new strategy that is only good until it's not good. And one of the things that we try to do is, at least me as an attorney, is sleep at night, knowing that my clients are in a better position and we add value. And one of the projects, I'm going to plug my law firm a little bit, but more importantly, plug in a way that explains how we can access to this. We're in conversations right now working with Julio Gonzalez with Engineer Tax Services in a position where we could acquire these tax credits and then people could use or contact us and acquire these for whatever the market value is. What's really interesting is a lot of these tax strategies, you have to have an active involvement in the space. So if you're in real estate, for example, you have to put in X amount of hours. Here it's just passive, so you don't have to do anything for that matter other than just buy it like you'd buy anything else in the marketplace.
That's right.
But what you're getting is $1 million tax benefit just by being smarter. And my job and one of the purposes of this show is to educate our audience, especially through our clients, and help promote our clients at the same time. It's a win-win scenario. The only one we want to leave on the side is the IRS. We don't need to support them as much as we are currently right now, especially when the IRS wants to encourage us to do, or actually not the IRS, Congress for that matter, wants to encourage certain behaviors by giving these tax benefits.
That's right.
And so how did you get into this space just because of your background, your father, your grandfather, and the entrepreneurial spirit, or you just saw something, you went to an event? Like, how did you get into that specific space?
Yeah, so the way that I really started this is you have to go back to my childhood. And, I was raised in a country that really didn't have energy security. And so I was born here in the United States, and my father wanted us to experience life the way that he experienced it. He wanted us to not be people who are, snobbish and silver spoon, and, he wanted us to feel like we have a obligation to help with everything else that people are experiencing, and he wanted us to feel that. So he sent us down to Lebanon in the Middle East, and Lebanon till today is a country that does not have more than 2 hours of power every day from the current utility, from the current public utility. So the majority of their power comes from generators, comes from solar, comes from a few other ways that they generate power there. And so when I was younger, I used to actually study under candlelight, like at night or during the times where there was no power. Me and my siblings would have to go and turn on candles and sit in our rooms and do our homework. And so there was, every now and then blackouts, brownouts, and we'd get stuck in elevators just going up to our house. So many times I'd be stuck there for 30 minutes waiting for the power to come back on, or the generator to kick in, or somebody to literally come and pull the elevator up to one of the floors so that we can actually get out of it. So I experienced a lot of that at a younger age, and I didn't know why. My father knew why he was doing this to us.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on.
You thought he was torturing you, right?
I didn't think he was torturing us, but I actually genuinely thought that this is our life. I thought that we were actually on this social class, and that we were impoverished, and that we had to deal with these situations, and that's just what I thought. And so living that life helped me to now be able to feel compassion and understand other people that they don't have the things that we have, for example. And it made me look at the world in a different way. So that's kind of how it all started, with the energy insecurity situation and not having that, to then come into the renewable energy field later on as I grew and I saw that, okay, we can generate our own power. What? And so I said, this is what I want to do. I want to find a world, or I want to build a world basically where kids don't have to study under candlelight. Like they can actually go and, have that security of not feeling like they're going to get stuck in an elevator today, or that, they missed their favorite TV show or their football game because they were involved in something like that.
Yeah, it's amazing when you live that life, because the world I grew up in, I never ever had to think about electricity. I never had to ever even consider energy. Perhaps possibly if there was a hurricane here, or if there was a blizzard or some snowstorm up north, you lost your energy for a day, and the only thing that happened is you were excited because you didn't have school. And
That's true.
It was always at a time where, fortunately, it was a day off of school. Like one day we didn't have water in the school, so going through halfway through, this was in high school. I remember like it was yesterday. Halfway through, I had a test I didn't study for, and it's like, wow, that was a sign. Like, out of all miracles, that was the miracle I got to go home to study. But it was because of water. But you don't realize how lucky you are until you're in a world where you don't have what you're accustomed to.
Correct.
And so that was the motivating factor.
Yeah.
What other projects are you working on besides renewable energy?
Mainly we have a few different things in real estate that we do. We touch upon that because it's a vertical into what we do, because we buy a lot of land and we lease a lot of land to build these things. I have a consulting firm that we work on. It's still within the same field. I really don't delve too far into anything else in terms of what I do, because I like to focus. I like to be laser onto one thing, and I don't want to divert myself. I had a few businesses in the past, some of which I closed, some of which failed. I learned a lot of lessons from them, and now I'm just focused on making sure that this entity and this structure that I'm building is just going to continue to move forward. And so the other thing that I really love to do is more on like the nonprofit side of things and the foundational work that we do, and that's really what I'm also passionate about. But it's all within that same realm of renewable energy.
If you could just touch upon the philanthropy, because one of the things that I love with most of my clients is once they get to a pinnacle of success, or a level of success, I should say, what they're able to do is bring that to the next generation.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect transition. Like, we literally got to 15 minutes. I like to try to change the subject a little bit about what is your mark on society? What is your legacy? What are you going to be known for? So setting up the charitable side of things is one of the easiest and best ways to create your legacy, because it's not about your name or anything else. It's about what your mark on society is and how you can leave this world a better place than you grew up and you started. And so what is your legacy? What is going to be your memory if things go to fruition, which I'm sure it will?
Yeah. So the way that I see myself living my life and the experience that I am having now, I don't really need much, and this is kind of goes back to how my father raised us and the way that he helped us with our discipline, helped us with maintaining certain standards of life. And regardless of how much money you have, regardless of what success you achieve in your life, whether that be financial or societal or any kind of status, that doesn't change who you are. Right. Who you are is who you are, and money only amplifies that. It only, if you have a lot of money and you're a stingy person, you're going to still be a stingy person. Oh, yeah. And if you have no money and you're a generous person, you're going to give 90% of what you have and keep the 10% for yourself.
That's actually a great point, because I have clients who are billionaires, and you would think that they are peasants, and then I have other people who hire me that I think are billionaires, and they're not even close.
There you go.
It's a great point.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how we were brought up, and what I plan on doing in my life is to continue to help with performing and doing these kinds of charitable acts. And so my goal, at least, is to really die with nothing. Like, I don't plan on taking anything with me. Right. And that's my belief. My belief is, you reap what you sow in this life. Right. So I'm planting here so that, when I'm gone, I can benefit from what I've done on this life. And so I don't plan on taking anything with me. I will keep my family obviously taken care of and comfortable, and set them up in a way where they have access to capital, but not necessarily give them money so that they can go and end up being spoiled or not have any kind of social responsibility and just, live their lives not really accomplishing anything.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and you think that I am the most horrible parent if I take away their electronics for a day or even an hour. Yeah. And I asked myself, how did I get here? I remember whatever my parents listened to in the radio in the car is what we listened to, which was 60s music. It was Johnny Mathis. I remember this. I can't stand him. But I could if I didn't listen to him all the time. But,
no, I get it.
Now it's just a challenge getting their focus. And, it's upon us to raise the generation of responsible young adults and making them happy in a way that they're not happy because we're giving them material items. They're happy because they're creating happiness by doing something of value. And the best, the most authentic level of happiness I have, and I can assume that most people, is when you give back, when you are helping others, when it's not all about you. And we're living in a society right now where it's just evolved to being just the individual, not the group anymore.
Unfortunately.
And, you can't go to a restaurant, a bar, a nightclub, or any other entertainment where you won't see people never living in the moment anymore. They're just living to impress their friends on social media.
Yes.
And it's just a challenge. And how do we take it back to the family structure? I was mentioning earlier this week, we won't have our show next week because I'll be on a cruise with my kids. 7 days, no electronics on a cruise ship. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting. And it's going to cause me to create a new, stronger relationship with my children so that I can instill the values. It's hard. It really is.
It is.
And so what is the name of your 501c3?
So that's going to be a secret.
Okay.
I'll keep it like that because one of the important things for me, at least, is I don't like to really, talk a lot about all of the good things that we're doing. And it feels to me to be a little bit insincere. So I don't want people to be tracking what's happening and what they're doing and how much money they're, putting into all these different things. So, I personally won't be mentioning what that is so people can't really link it to me. But obviously the foundation itself will have its own structure and design, and they'll promote themselves and do what they need to do.
So it's driven by philanthropy, not ego.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I believe if I'm really trying to do this for the right reasons, I won't be out there tooting my horn that look at all the great things that I'm doing for people.
Yeah, so you're not the person at the bar or the restaurant, taking pictures and showing your...
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I've been behind the scenes, the majority of my life, and any of the things or any of the charitable acts that we've done have not been at the forefront of anybody. Nobody knows, and that's how I prefer it. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, basically.
Exactly, and just do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to get recognition.
Correct.
That's something that is hard to teach to others because we have these little egos that become major egos, and everyone is a comparison. And it's funny because I was at an event on Sunday at the Super Bowl event, and I took a picture of a group of people and I sent it out and I said, please do not edit it because we want to know what you really look like.
Yeah.
Rather than the... That's right. Everyone thinks that they look like what they look with the Face app.
Media,
And, every now and then you forget you don't look like what you think you look like. You look like the pictures that, come out of your phone.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I have an ego as well, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does, but it's just making sure to keep that contained and don't allow that to really dictate how you do things in your life.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's not easy because, that's really one of the most difficult things for somebody, especially in the entrepreneurship space.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't hype yourself up, if you don't sit there and actually believe and have this level of delusional confidence almost in yourself, you really don't succeed. And
that's a great. I understand why you're calling it delusional confidence. Yeah. It's knowing who you are and knowing what you're capable of doing, and not listening to the hype and saying you can't do this, you can't do that.
That's right.
When I created my law firm, it was just, at first it was a struggle, but I knew what I could do and I knew what I could accomplish. And it was tough because the first part of being an entrepreneur is having enough delusional confidence, I'm going to actually like it, to believe that you are capable of doing what you want to do.
That's right.
And I think the biggest life lesson that I've ever learned is to be able to constantly change, tweak what you're doing, but have enough faith that the struggle that you're having is going to be rewarded exponentially.
That's right.
And I think I mentioned this last week. I think I need to mention it every week. My children ask this question, when are you going to retire? And when you work for somebody, that's what you're looking for. So looking for a date where you are going to not do what you're doing. Why? Because you're not passionate about it. When you're passionate about something, you love what you're doing. I never want to retire. And we handle our litigation with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. His name is Peter Tickton, and he's 77 years old. And I think I work hard. I call the guy any day, Saturday, Sunday, 9 in the morning, 9 at night. He picks up the phone and he's in front of a computer. He doesn't need the money. He's successful. He could live the remainder of his life in just perfect harmony. But he is hitting his goals right now. He's living his best life at 77. And I keep laughing at him. I said, wait till you're 80. If this is your best life now, you can only imagine what's in store in your future. That's the mentality I want. That's the legacy I want to provide to my children, is the ability to find something you are passionate about and do something that you can do better than anybody else. And I'm blessed with very few talents, which is good because I don't waste time trying to do something I'm not good at. And the things that I am good at, I love to just focus my energy there. And the way we live in society now, it's very centric to what your skill set is, rather than everyone's a farmer, everyone's this and everyone's that.
That's right.
And one of the things that we forget about living in this country is you could do anything and be anyone you want. And we take that for granted here. So you living in other countries got to see it. You know, all these people who have incredible talent. They could be musicians, they could be engineers, they could be physicists, they could do anything. They have the mental capability, but they don't have the ability to do it because of their society that they live in.
Correct.
And I think we are living at the best time. It could also be the most challenging time. And it's what we make out of it is really what is most important.
And that's the entrepreneurship struggle. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that you are doing with your life the most effective thing that you possibly can do.
Yeah. And I'm going to transition just a little bit into what 40-day wealth is, because people ask that.
I was about to ask you that. So go ahead.
So during COVID, I was trying to create a forum for people, like-minded people, to have a discussion about one topic. And what was the topic that was most important to me at that time, which is currently the most important topic as well, right now, present, is thinking about your life from a different perspective, changing the paradigm. So what most people do is they go to work, they do it for a living, they come back, and they never think about why they're doing what they're doing and how their money is used. They think about their investments, their expenses, their vacations, and everything else that this society deems valuable, whether it's just the best haircut, the best clothes, whatever it is. But nobody really thinks about every single day. You're giving up 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours of your life every single day to create something. And who are you doing it for? So when you don't take into consideration your expenses, you don't take into consideration interest rates, you don't take into consideration taxes, among everything, taxes being the most important,
Correct.
is really what are you working for? So I created a strategy for a client using black letter law, just creating a specific pension. And at the end of the day, because I had time, it was COVID, I wasn't going out. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do an analysis on this and figure out how many days out of the year are you working for yourself? How many days are you working for your family? And how many days are you a government employee? And when the government spends billions and billions of your money and everyone else's money, you really want to know, because you're working for that money. And it's an amazing thing to think about how many days per year you go into the office and you're only working to make enough money to pay your tax liability. It's just, it's like a catch-22.
It is.
So what it turned out to be in this one case was we saved our client 40 days of working for the government in one particular year, allowed him to retire if he wanted to retire instead of 66 at, I think it was at 52, 53. I would have to look at my notes. But it was just by saving that person 40 days each and every year. And then I was like, okay, that's nice, but what is is there any symbolism? Is there symbolic meaning behind 40 days? And I looked it up. And in the Bible, 40 days is a period of just a long time. When anything is defined as a long time, it just coincides with the number 40. 40 days, 40 nights, it was raining Noah in the ark. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days. Between, I think it's Ash Friday and Easter, it's 40 days.
I see.
So everything that means longevity is 40 days. Habits, 40 days. So if you commit to 40 days, if you want to stop drinking alcohol, if you commit to 40 days, most likely you won't have the urge for alcohol. If you want to commit to fitness, 40 days of every single day doing it, then most likely you will commit to it, it will happen.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to do the 40 days, put in the effort, and now you have something that's trackable. You can say, okay, I know this is going to be hell for me. This is not what I want to do. I don't want to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't want to work out. I don't want to spend that extra hour here. I don't want to not drink because, it's a social environment we live in. But if you say, I'm not going to do anything except for commit to 40 days, you'll be shocked at what you could accomplish. So 40 Day Wealth is a podcast now about changing those habits. And the whole idea of what we're trying to accomplish is to get successful people on the podcast, let them share their stories, give our audience a reason to look into what they can commit to for 40 days and challenge them to do anything for 40 days, whether it's eating 2 meals a day instead of 3 so you could lose that extra 10 pounds. The easiest 40-day cycle that I have ever had was when I was a teen. Actually, no, it was in my 20s. I gave up soda. College, I had just, with a limited budget, it was $1 at the time to get 2 gallons of soda, and it was $1 to get water. I was like, all right, and I'll get soda.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just drinking Coke morning, lunch, midday, and evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why am I doing this? So I just went cold turkey. So if I have a Coke or a Sprite now, which is very, very rare, I'm like, wow, I do like this, but I don't need it anymore. But it took 40 days to get rid of that habit. And 40 days focus on your wealth. You ask yourself, what can I do in 40 days that will take me to the next level? Whether it's just reading 10 minutes a day for 40 days, all of a sudden you become a reader.
Yeah.
And you don't have these self-defeating prophecies anymore because you know what you can accomplish if you challenge yourself to 40 days. And if you don't accomplish it, you only have used 40 days.
Yeah.
So that takes us to our third section, our session of the podcast. Now we're going to just put you on the hot seat. We're going to put you on the couch, ask you questions. You don't even know what the questions are.
Oh, great.
And we'll see what comes out of it. And now part 3 of our podcast, which is probably my favorite part, is just to put our guest on the hot seat, ask you random questions that you probably wouldn't think of on a day-to-day basis and see how quick you could come up with an answer. They always say there's no wrong answer. There is, but I haven't come up with one yet.
You don't want to give
no pressure.
Answer. Yeah, I got you. All right.
So first question, childhood celebrity crush.
Okay. I would have to say Angelina Jolie.
Oh, wow, yes. I'm showing my age because I was an adult when she came out. Person you would trade places for one day?
Alive or dead?
You could decide.
History and all history?
Let's go with both. Alive.
Okay, alive. Person I would trade with today. Honestly, I don't have anybody. Like, that's not something that I've ever thought about. I never wanted to like actually trade lives with somebody.
Yeah.
Alive, right?
Right.
In history, yeah, there are a couple people that I could think of. Namely, there is one figure in history. His name is, in English they call him Saladin, but in Arabic it's Salahuddin. So I would definitely like to understand his mind, what was happening during that time. Obviously there was the Crusades, and it was a very interesting historic time there, and just experiencing what he was thinking of during the conquest of Jerusalem back then, and how he let everybody go, and he didn't really exact revenge the way that people thought he was going to do, and they thought he was a monster, and I just wanted to know what's going through his head there during that time. Yeah,
it's an interesting answer.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. I really enjoy small little acts of kindness here and there, without people knowing.
Yeah,
that's really the thing that I would say.
Oh, I think that's the best answer I've heard so far. Biggest risk you've ever took?
Biggest risk I've ever took has to be in my business career, where I invested, I would say, about 90% of my net worth into a project. Wow. And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done.
I have to ask, how did it turn out?
I'm here, am I not?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, no, it was very nerve-wracking, difficult. there were times where I thought, it was really going to go the bad way, and, I had to fight very hard to get it to where it did succeed.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I want people to understand in this show, most importantly, is that the success of my clients and my friends is driven on the risk, a calculated risk. And most people can't handle that.
No.
Most people like to know, well, if I put in this time, this is what I'll get.
That's right. They need certainty.
Yeah.
And that's not the entrepreneurship's lifestyle.
No, and it's a lot of people want to be successful, but they just don't have the mental ability to handle the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I'm in my 40s now, but it was a struggle. It still is a struggle. Every day is a challenge, but it's a happy challenge now. It's I could look back and say I'm happy to be where I am now, and those risks were worth it. Even the failures, right?
That's right.
And the more you fail, the more you succeed as well, because you have to understand and appreciate the failures to make the changes, to pivot, and to succeed.
That's right.
What never fails to make you laugh?
My dad's laughter.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Every time I see him laughing, which isn't that often, but every time I see him laughing, the way he laughs just makes me laugh.
That's great. Yeah. It's my kids laugh, and my son. Now, I have this stupid laugh when it's like a non-sincere laugh when my kids tell me something. And now my son makes fun of me for that laugh, but now he has that laugh.
Oh, there you go.
And then he looks at himself and he says, oh my God, I have that laugh.
Life is a wheel, man.
Worst piece of advice you have ever received?
Stay comfortable.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We had a prior guest that go to college. He's an entrepreneur.
Oh no, hey, I'm not saying anything bad about college, but I think there's some good in that as well. But as an entrepreneur, I don't think that should be priority.
Yeah, and I think what we do as a society is we encourage the next generation to go to a university for the purpose of becoming an employee and presentable to somebody who's going to write you a paycheck, rather than doing it for a reason. Like I had to do it because I knew I had to go to become a lawyer.
That's different.
So it was a prerequisite.
Correct.
But I had more fun in college than I ever did in any 4 years of my life. But at the same time, I don't think I learned much except how to succeed by putting in 15 hours worth of work when the real world doesn't
either.
No.
Yeah.
Something you wish you were better at.
Holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
That's something that I definitely need to do a lot more work on, and continuing to discipline myself, because it's just a constant battle.
Yeah.
It's always, the more you grow and the more you succeed, the more you start realizing you're letting yourself go. And you need to rein yourself back in and make sure that you stick within your discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your answers. I mean, they really, I think I'm going to change my answers now. So if you're on a stranded island, on a desert island, if you're stranded on a desert island, who would you like to be stranded with?
Deserted island. Who would I like to be stranded with? Probably Bear Grylls. Make sure I survive.
That's great. Yeah, I was thinking somebody who could build a boat, but then how would I eat? He could probably do both, right?
Exactly.
Tell me something about you that we don't know.
Something about me that you don't know. As my lawyer, you should know everything, but...
Well, I like to do karaoke. You don't know that about me.
I was about to say, actually, I sing, so there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, when I was younger, I almost went on American Idol for...
Really?
Yeah. Or I wanted to, and they were training me, and then, I said, what am I doing? Let me focus on entrepreneurship. And yeah, that's kind of how that works.
So now do you sing in the shower only, or?
Sing in the shower, at home sometimes. Yeah. Not that often, but it used to be something I used to do.
Yeah. I do it with my kids. It's a guilty pleasure. When rather than going on their gadgets, we go on YouTube and you type in any song.
Karaoke.
Yeah, and then they give me the songs, they choose the songs that I have to sing, which is their generation songs, and it's just the lyrics make zero sense to me. I'm using words I don't even know. I don't even think they're part of the English,
It's
but
Gen
part
Z
of the
vocabulary.
Exactly. I'm like, I have to change the lyrics on it because I can't do it that way because that's not how I talk. But anyway, the final piece, you have to close off the audience and just however you want to say goodbye to the audience. There's no wrong way of doing it.
Okay. So I first thank you for having me, and I really appreciate the conversations. It's very enlightening, and I enjoy informing people about obviously what we do and the goals behind what we're trying to build. And at the same time, if there's one thing that I would leave any audience with, it's the advice to truly never give up and to always maintain the confidence and the ability to not listen to what other people are telling you when it comes to you're going to fail, it's not going to work out. Since we are talking to entrepreneurs here, we're talking to people who are looking at building their own businesses or legacies, whether it's their first business, second, 10th, whatever that might be, don't let the failures get to you. I've failed time and time again, and those were the things that actually helped me now succeed. And I believe wholeheartely that if I did not go through those failures, that I would not be where I am today.
And you wouldn't be as happy.
I would not be as happy. I would not be as experienced when it comes to how to navigate the waters. A lot of people think that you have to get it right every single time. No, that's not the case. You should always learn from those mistakes, and those mistakes are more valuable than your successes, in my opinion. And so, can keep going. You failed. Get up, go again. We hear these things time and time again, and it's always in all the movies and in all the motivational speeches and everywhere that they try to get you to understand these things, but we don't seem to receive it. And I'm guilty of that as well. I've wavered. I've had times where I've looked at my life and I was just like, what is happening here? And it's a swing. You go high ups and then really low lows, and you need to learn how to take those and build yourself, maintain your discipline, work on something to do that, and don't allow for confirmation or not conforming to societal standards and what they tell you how this is how you should be. As an entrepreneur, you cannot do that, because if you do, it's just you're going to get dragged.
I think that's a great point, because one of the biggest challenges, knowing I was an entrepreneur, it was the biggest challenge from day one, from my earliest memory, is I never wanted to listen to somebody telling me it can't be done this way or it has to be done this way. And I always wanted to challenge it, not understanding why. It's because you either have that entrepreneurial mindset or you don't. And it's the challenges and it's the failures. It's, Hall of Fame baseball players strike out more than they hit home runs, but they're not afraid to step at the plate, even though that they could get pegged by a baseball.
That's right.
And they're willing to do it, and it sounds crazy. You just got hit in the face with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and the next time you get better, you're sitting out there putting yourself at the same risk, knowing that you have to do this, because this is the only way to your own self-enlightenment, your own peace of mind, your own happiness, your own success. Well, thank you. I think we did this in the most perfect time. I'm looking, we have 5 seconds left. So I appreciate your time and working with you. And just remember, if you need tax credits, among other things, reach out to us. Julio Gonzalez and I are going to be working with you to make sure that we could facilitate that, among other things. And thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.